Okay guys, so 42 starts off the log equations. So when you have log base 4 of 2x equals 5, do you remember what to do to solve that equation? When you have log equal to a number? Anytime you have log equal to a number, what should you do? Convert to an exponential. So guys, what's the base of the log? 4. So what's the base of the exponent? 4. 4 to the what? 5th equals 2x, right? Yes. And 4 to the 5th is, and you'll get a power chart. 4 to the 5th is what? Yeah, 1024. So 1024 equals 2x. How do you solve for x? Divide by 2. So 512. What do I have to worry about with log equations? And as far as solutions go, what do I have to worry about? What does not exist? Log of what? Or negative numbers, right? Logs look like this. So wherever their vertical asymptote is, they do this right here. And so they don't exist over in the negatives or 0. So 512, if I plug it in, I get a positive, right? So we're good. Okay. On 43, you've got a different log type equation. You got log base 19 of 10 equals log base 19 of x minus 9. What can you do? Ryan said I can cancel the logs. Can I do that? Why? Okay, this is only one log on this side and one log on that side, right? So the only way that log of this equals log of that is if this equals that, right? So in effect, I can do away with them, and I'm really just solving the equation 10 equals x minus 9. What do I do? Add 9, x equals 19. If I plug it in, get 19 minus 9 is 10, so we're good. It's not 0 or negative. Okay, and the reason why I asked that about why can you cancel them out is because here, can I just cancel out the logs on 44? I cannot, because why? You don't have one log equal to another log. You have two logs on the left side, right? So what do you need to do with those two logs first? Combine. How do you combine two logs separated by addition? You multiply them, right? You multiply the inside. So log base 4 of what? Okay, so you're going to multiply 6 times negative 5x, yes? When you combine two logs separated by addition, you combine them with multiplication. 6 times negative 5x is a negative 30x. So log base 4 of negative 30x equals log base 4 of 21. Now can I do what I did in the last problem? I have one log equal to another log. The logs can go away. And I'm just left with negative 30x equals 21. So what do? How do I get rid of negative 30? Divide. You undo multiplication with division. So 21 divided by negative 30 is negative 21 30th. They both divide by something? 3. So negative 7/10. And there you go. You don't have one? Were you here, Friday? Oh. Well, then there you go. All right, 45, what do you do? Right. It's similar to 42 where you have log equal to a number, but you have this 6 in the front that you have to get rid of. You can either bring it back as a power or get rid of it right now. The easiest way would be to undo the multiplication with division, yeah? So what is 18 divided by 6? 3. So I've got log base 5 of k plus 10 equals 3. What do you do? What do we do? You got log equal to a number. Convert to exponential. So I've got 5 to the what? Third equals k plus 10. What is 5 cubed? 125? So subtract 10 over. What's 125 minus 10? 115 equals k. Right quick, we need to go back to this problem 44. The answer was negative, right? Does it work? When you plug it in, you're multiplying it by -5. Does that make it positive? Then we're good. Just remember to check. Alright, I've got two logarithms on 46. How are they separated? By subtraction. When two logs are separated by subtraction, how do I combine them? Division. So log, if there's not a base, what is it? 10. So log of 2x plus 2 divided by 8 equals 1. If you notice, could you go ahead and simplify the 2x plus 2 and the 8 by dividing everything by 2? You could, but if you don't notice it, then we can just carry on. You got log equal to a number. What do? Convert. The base is 10, so 10 to the what? 10 to the 1 equals 2x plus 2 over 8. So what are you going to do to solve that equation? Multiply by 8 because you're dividing by it. So multiply both sides by 8. So I've got 80 equals 2x plus 2. What do we do from there? Subtract 2. What's 80 minus 2? 78. What's 78? And then divide it by 2. 39. X equals 39. And if I plug in 39 right there, I'm 39 times 2 plus 2, so everything's positive. 47. Natural log of n plus 4 plus 10 equals 8. What do we need to get by itself? The natural log, so what do I do with that 10? Subtract it over. Natural log of n plus 4 equals what? -2. Can a log equal a negative number? Is a log ever negative? You sure? A log is negative, but does log of a negative equal anything? No. So log can equal a negative number, but it can't be log of a negative number. Okay, how do you get rid of ln? How do you get rid of ln? Okay, so I'm going to write a couple different ways. So, a couple ways of seeing this. Natural log is log base e, right? Could I just convert to an exponential? E to the what? -2 equals n plus 4. How do I get rid of the 4? Subtract it. E to the -2 minus 4 equals n. Okay. Are y'all familiar with this? Log base 7 of 3 to the, let's see. Well, what do I want to say? Just kidding. If I said log base 7 of 7 to the 3rd, what would you say? It equals what? 3. By the same token, if I said 7 to the log base 7 of 3, it would also be 3. An exponent raised to the log of the same base is the same thing. So if I did this, if I raised both sides as a power of e, they would cancel each other out. N plus 4 equals e to the -2. Now we're in the same spot we were just in, right? The other option is you should just know, maybe, that ln is canceled out by an e. But we don't multiply by e. What do? We raise these as powers of e. E to this equals e to that. Okay, cancels out natural log, but you're not multiplying by it. So I've got n plus 4 equals e to the -2. Again, we subtract 4. Would you recognize this as a different way of writing it? What's another way of writing this expression? So that you don't have a negative power. If it was multiple choice, would you be able to match it to that? Because that, that could be something that happened. Just recognize having a negative power just puts it back in the denominator. Or if it's in the numerator, it's already there. then bring it to the numerator. So n equals e to the negative second minus 4. Okay, 48 through, 48. 48 is just composition, right? So what does h of g of 10 mean? What are we supposed to do? Okay, so this is actually like finding h of g of 10. Which one do you evaluate first? G of 10? So g of 10 means I'm going to plug 10 into here. So I've got the square root of 6 minus 10. What's 6 minus 10? Negative 4? So I've got h of the square root of negative 4. What is the square root of negative 4? 2i. So I've got h of 2i. What do I plug 2i into? H. So I've got 2 times 2i squared minus 3 times 2i. Yeah? What is 2i squared? 2i squared is 2 times 2 times I, right? You got 4i squared. What's 4i squared? Negative 4, because I squared is a negative 1, right? So this is negative 4 times 2, negative 8, and then minus 6i. And that's it. Alright, let's do h of g of 3. So, h of g of 3. What do I evaluate first? G of 3? What is the square root of 6 minus 3? Square root of 3? And now I want to find h of the square root of 3, right? So again, h is 2 times something squared minus 3 times something. And that something is what? The square root of 3? What's the square root of 3 squared? Three? What's 3 times 2? 6. Can you do anything with 3 times the square root of 3? So it's just minus 3 square roots of 3. Okay. What about C? What are we finding first? H of negative 4. So I need to find f of h of negative 4. H of negative 4, I'm going to plug negative 4 in right there. What is negative 4 squared? Sorry. Negative 4 squared is 16. What's 16 times 2? 32. So I've got 32. What is negative 3 times negative 4? Positive 12. What's 32 plus 12? 44. So I've got to find f of 44. F of 44 just means plug 44 in x minus 5. So what's 44 minus 5? 39. Okay, now I need to find what? F of g of k of 2? What do you need to find first? K of 2. K of 2, I gotta plug in a 2 right there, was 2 cubed. And what is 1/4 times 8? 2. So I need to find g of 2. If I plug in 2, what do I get? Square root of 6 minus 2, which is square root of 4, which is what? 2. So now I need to find f of 2. I plug in 2 right here, what do you get? 2 minus 5 is 2. Just kidding, it's negative 3. Everything is coming up 2. Okay. Let's go on to 49. On 49, you're asked to find f of g of x, and now it's just in general, we've got functions. So what are you going to do on 49? Which one is the inside function? G of x. So f of g of x means I'm going to take g of x and plug it in where? Yep, in f, in the function f, everywhere I see an x. So I have something squared plus something plus 1, and that something is x plus 4. So the inside function g is what we're substituting into the function f. What is x plus 4 squared? Because I got a lot of people telling me x squared plus 16. Can you just distribute a square when you're adding? Right, you have to multiply it by itself. So what is x plus 4 times x plus 4? X squared plus 4x plus 4x. So plus 8x and then plus 16. So I've got x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus x plus 4 plus 1. Final answer? X squared plus 9x plus 21. Okay? For number 50. For number 50, you actually have two sets of directions. You're supposed to find f of g and g of f, yeah? Okay. So let's find f of g first. So f of g means I'm going to take the function g and substitute it into f. So if I take the function g and substitute that in for x, then what I've got is the square root of 5 times negative 2x squared plus 7x, right? So I'm just taking the g, which is the inside function, and plugging it into f. Okay, what can you do? Is there anything you can do? Distribute the 5? So final answer, the square root of negative 10x squared plus 35x. Okay, now what are we supposed to do? G of f. So I need to find g of f of x, which means I'm going to take f of x and substitute that in everywhere I see an x in g. So g is negative 2 times something squared plus 7 times something, and that something is the square root of 5x. What is the square root of 5x squared? Is it just 5x times negative 2? So negative 10x plus 7 square roots of 5x. You could factor out an x if you wanted to, but not necessary. That's all you can do. Okay. And then we move into trig. So it says find the value of the trig function indicated. It says find cotangent. First off, do you remember what sine, cosine, tangent, and cosecant, secant, and cotangent are? Okay. So cotangent, what is it? Right. If tangent's opposite over adjacent, then cotangent is adjacent over opposite, right? If this is theta, I have opposite, I have adjacent, here's hypotenuse. Do I need hypotenuse for cotangent? Nope. So cotangent of theta is adjacent over opposite. Shall I simplify it? 8/6? And 4/3 is my answer. Okay, cosine. What do I have in cosine? Do I have opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse? What do I have? I have opposite. I have what? Hypotenuse. What do I not have? Do I need it? I do for trig, right? Or for cosine. I don't know, I said trig. Okay, so what I know is that side squared plus side squared, or a squared plus b squared, equals the hypotenuse squared, right? What is 18 squared? $324? So 324 plus b squared equals, what's 6 squared? 36. What's the square root of 10 squared? 10. So that's actually 36 times 10, which is 360. How do I solve for b squared? Subtract 324. What's 360 minus 324? 36, so what's b equal? 6, so that side is 6. Alright, I need to find cosine. Cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 6 and hypotenuse is 6 squared roots of 10. Tell me about those 6's. They can go away. Something divided by itself is 1, right? Is my final answer 1 over the square root of 10? I don't know why I did that. Square root of 10 over 10. And there you go. Rationalize. Okay. On 53. Do you remember Pythagorean triples? What Pythagorean triples do you know? 3, 4, 5. 5, 12, 13, right? 7, 24, 25, 8, 15, 17. So those are some of the basics. Do 7 and 24 fit one of those? Which makes this what? 25. If you don't know, do the Pythagorean theorem. 7 squared plus 24 squared equals what? Take the square root. Okay, I need sine. Sine is what over what? Opposite over hypotenuse. So my answer is 7 over 25. Cosecant. I need, well, what is cosecant the reciprocal of? Starts with a C. Sine. Remember, sine, cosecant, SCCS, right? Cosine, secant, sine, cosecant. So if this is reciprocal of sine, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and this is hypotenuse over opposite, right? Do I have the hypotenuse? I do. Do I have the opposite? No. I have adjacent. Can I find opposite? How? Okay. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. 13 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared. What is 13 squared? 169. 15 squared is 225. 225 minus 169? 56. So b equals the square root of 56. Can you simplify that? It's 2 times 28, yeah? So it's 4 times 14, is that right? Okay. 4 times 14, so what does it simplify to? 2 square roots of 14. Okay, hypotenuse over opposite. What's the hypotenuse? 15, opposite. 2 square roots of 14. So what do? Okay. 15 root 14 over 2 times 14, which is 28. And there you go. Okay. On 56 through 57, I'm giving you a trig function and a coordinate point. The coordinate point is on the terminal side of the angle, and you're supposed to use right triangle trigonometry to find the tangent, or the secant, or the sine. Okay? Which quadrant is the point negative 5, 4 in? Okay. So we're going to the left 5 and up 4, and there's theta. Do I have enough to find tangent? Tangent is what over what? Opposite over adjacent, so opposite over adjacent. Do I want you to leave the negative in the denominator? Negative 4/5. On 56, what quadrant is 2, negative 7 in? The fourth quadrant? So to the right 2, down 7. I don't really care if your triangle is to scale, 2 and negative 7. For sine, do I need the hypotenuse? Okay. So, 2 squared plus negative 7 squared equals c squared. 2 squared is 4, 7 squared is 49. It's 49 plus 4. 53. So the hypotenuse is the square root of 53. Alright, sine is what over what? Opposite over hypotenuse? Negative 7 of the square root of 53. Final answer? Negative 7 root 53 over 53. Okay. Secant. What quadrant is negative square root of 5 and negative 3 on? Okay. So go left, a negative square root of 5, and go down negative 3. For secant, do I need the hypotenuse? Secant's reciprocal of what? Cosine? So if cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and this is hypotenuse over adjacent, so I do need hypotenuse. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Negative 3 squared is what? 9. What's negative square root of 5 squared? I put the parentheses in the wrong spot. 5 was 9 plus 5? 14, so this is the square root of 14. Okay. Hypotenuse over adjacent. So what do I need to do? Bring the negative up, and what do you do with that square root of 5? Multiply top and bottom by it. 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 4 is 20, so 70 square root of 70 negative over 5. The factors of 70 are 7, 2, and 5, so nothing, no perfect square goes into it. We're going to do 70 more problems. You know. Or until 69. Whatever. Okay, find tangent if cosine is negative square root of 5 over 8 and sine is less than 0. Okay. What do I want you to be thinking about in this on this problem? Y'all remember? Perfect. Nobody remembers. Yes. What do I know? Okay, and this, yeah, for that problem, for sure. Cosine is the left and the right. Sine is the up and the down. What do I know about the hypotenuses? Hypotenuse or hypotenuses? I don't know what they are. Are you talking about tangent or are you talking about... Yeah, you're talking about tangent. Hypotenuse is always positive, yeah? So when you find cosine, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine has to do with the x, right? And hypotenuse is always positive. So when it says cosine is a negative, then I know that I'm talking about over here, where the x's are negative. So not those two, yeah? And then it says sine is what? Sine is less than 0, which means it's negative. I know sine is positive up here and negative down there, so it's got to be in the third quadrant. Yeah? So, I draw a triangle in the third quadrant, and I label what I know. I know that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so adjacent is negative square root of 5, hypotenuse is 8, the negative has to go with the square root of 5. I need to find what? Tangent. Tangent requires opposite and adjacent. We don't have opposite, which means we need to do what? Pythagorean theorem. So I've got the negative square root of 5 squared plus b squared equals 8 squared. What is the square root of 5 squared? 5. So 5 plus b squared equals 64. Subtract 5, what do you get? 59. So the opposite is negative square root of 59. Yeah? So tangent equals opposite, negative square root of 59, over adjacent, which is negative square root of 5. What's a negative divided by a negative? What happens to the negatives? What do I do with that square root of 5? Bring it to the top. What's 59 times 5? 295? Is that right? And there you go. Okay. Let's go to 59. The two pieces of information they give me are that tangent is negative. What is tangent comprised of? How do you come up with tangent? Opposite over adjacent? Opposite over adjacent. So if they're both positive, is it positive? Yes? Hello? So that's not it. If one of them's positive, one of them's negative, is it negative? Yes? And that's what I need, right? If they're both negative, what are they? Tangent's positive. If one of them is negative and one of them is positive, then it's negative. So I have two options right now, quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. But they tell me that what? Secant is positive. Secant's reciprocal of what? So they're telling me cosine is positive. Cosine is the up and the down or the left and the right? Okay, cosine is negative on the left side and positive on the right side. I need it to be positive, so we're talking fourth quadrant. So I draw a triangle in the fourth quadrant. And I label given tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Is it clear where the negative goes with? Because if you're unsure, just put the 3 here and the 2 there and then think. Is it right or is it down that gives you the negative? Down gives you the negative. So it's negative 3 over positive 2. Okay? I must define what? Sine? Okay. Let's do Pythagorean theorem. 2 squared plus negative 3 squared equals c squared. 2 squared is 4. Negative 3 squared is 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. So this is the square root of 13. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Negative 3 over the square root of 13. So final answer? Negative 3 squared to 13 over 13. Okay. Do y'all remember what to do in order to convert from a radian to a degree? Huh? Hey guys, what is pi the same thing as in degrees? 180. So you can do a couple different things. You can either just multiply by 180 over pi and just cancel out the pi's and simplify the expression. Or you can just replace pi with 180. Either way, you're going to multiply 17 times 180 and divide it by 4. So what's 17 times 180 divided by 4? 700 what? 765 degrees. What if I wanted that between 0 and 360? What would you do? Subtract 360? Just in case, if I asked you somewhere between 0 and 360. Okay, what if you want to go from degrees to radians? Here I wanted to get rid of pi, so I put it in the denominator, right? What do I want to get rid of here? The degrees. So what goes on top? Pi and 180 goes on bottom, so the degrees cancel out, right? 165 and 180. I'm thinking they both divide by 15, 11 and 12 times. If I were you and I was typing this into my calculator, I would type in 165 divided by 180, math enter, enter, and then multiply by pi. Is it negative 11/12? Okay. Do you remember how to fill out the unit circle? It'll be on there. If you want to be able to use it, you're going to have to fill it out. And there's a video on YouTube that I've already made about how to fill it out, so if you want to practice that. I will print off some blank ones so you can have those, okay? So you can practice it if you want to. Alright, let's go to 63. Actually, how much time do we have left? We have plenty of time. Okay. Yeah. Marbles. Yeah. I know. She's a mutt. Yeah, I want to. I said she's a mutt. I don't know what she is. I'll show you a picture in a minute. Right quick. Do y'all remember the radians? Do y'all remember? Hey, come on. 1/6, 1/4, 1/3, 1/2. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and count by sixes now. Hey, can we stop talking for now? 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, which is 2/3, 5/6, 6/6, which is pi, 7/6, right? 8/6, which is 4/3. 4/3, 9/6, which is 3/2, 10/6, which is 5/3, 11/6, and 12/6, which is 2 pi, right? And then count by fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4. Hey, if you go to the right one and up none, what's that coordinate point? 1, 0. Don't mess that one up. 0, 1. -1, 0. What are they all divided by? 2. Watch me fill out a ton of 2's. Yeah, a lot of people forget those. Okay, what's the pattern? 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I forgot my square root. Okay. What's negative in the second quadrant? The x, right? What's negative in the third? What's negative in the fourth? The y. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And if you forgot how to count to 3, I did it multiple times just now. You're welcome. And we need to find what? Secant of -7 pi over 6. So first off, secant is reciprocal of what? Which one of these coordinate points is cosine, the x or the y? Cosine of theta, sine of theta. If you come to me doing a test and you're like, I don't know which is which, then I'm going to be like, I'm sorry. Which comes first in the alphabet? C. If anything, try and remember that, okay? What's tangent? Remember sine over cosine, and that is y over x, right? So if tangent is y over x, what's cotangent? X over y. Okay, so we need to find secant, which is reciprocal of cosine, so we're going to be looking at x values and flipping them. It says 7 pi over 6, which is right here, but then it says -7 pi over 6, which is where? Right there, right? 7 pi over 6 means to go a full half and then another 30 degrees. So backwards a full half and another 30 degrees. It's just a reflection across the x. So what's the cosine on this one right here? Negative square root of 3 over 2. So what's secant? Negative 2 over the square root of 3, right? Is that your final answer? Negative 2 root 3 over 3 is my final answer. Alright, what do I need to find? Tangent of pi over 2? Where's pi over 2? Right here? What's tangent? Y over x, right? What's 1 over 0? Undefined. Okay. What about sine of negative 2/3 pi? Where's negative 2/3? Where's 2/3? 2/3 is right here, so where's negative 2/3? Down here? What's sine? The x or the y? So it's negative square root of 3 over 2. Yeah? On the next one, it says tangent of 5/3 pi. Where's 5/3? 300? It says tangent. What is tangent? Y over x. So I've got negative square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. What happens to the 2's? They divide out. Negative square root of 3 divided by 1 is just negative square root of 3. I need to find cosine of 4/3 pi. So find 4/3 and then write down the cosine. What's the cosine? Here's 4/3, right? What's the cosine? Negative 1/2. Okay. I need to find cosecant of 29 pi over 6. What am I going to want you to do? You could count 29/6. That's absolutely. 29 times 180 divided by 6. Can someone multiply that out for me? 29 times 180 divided by 6. 870. So what should you do with that? Subtract 360. What do you get? 510. Subtract 360 again. 1 what? 150. So we're actually dealing with the cosecant of 150 degrees. So where's 150 degrees? Right here? What's cosecant? The opposite of sine. Sine is, what's the reciprocal of 1/2? 2. And there you go. Not quite. Just tell me right quick, and you'll need to write this in, but just tell me, what's A on this function? The amplitude, what does that determine? How high and how low the function goes from the what? From the midline, right? What is the plus at the end, plus D? The vertical shift, which creates the midline, right? And what does B use to find? Yes, B is used to find period. It's the horizontal stretch or compression. And what's the normal period of a sine wave? Like sine of x, what's the period? 2 pi. So it's always 2 pi divided by b to find what that horizontal stretch or compression is. So period is 2 pi divided by b. Now, what did I say? No. In the directions, don't I say in a complete sentence? Okay, so make sure to do that. Okay, so we're done.